So Guy, thanks for coming to Las Vegas.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we connected on Zoom call a couple of weeks ago, and you guys were nice enough to send me the Mudra Band. I've had a lot of fun playing with it.
Wow, I'm so happy that you liked it.
Yeah, we got this video looping in the background. You guys have some awesome information here. So tell us about this really quick. What is this?
Well, what you see here is the Mudra Band for Apple Watch. So it's a neural interface. It monitors electrical activity in the wrist and translates it into functions on a digital device. And here specifically, it is for the Apple ecosystem. So on my watch, for example, I can select which device to connect to. It can be an Apple TV, it can be my iPhone, my Mac, or any other device in the ecosystem.
So what you're telling me is if I move my hand, it's actually going to translate that into movements on the screen and actions on the screen as well.
Exactly.
And I had a lot of fun playing around with it. I was surprised how small of things I could pinch. I had like a YouTube video pulled up at one point. I was moving the volume sliding bar with it, and I was like, this thing's really accurate, actually. So your background, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you actually came to developing the Mudra Band?
So I'm an electronic engineer, and actually it comes from like a weird direction. As a teenager and into my 20s, I was really into lucid dreaming. And I learned about it. I studied. I bought devices like a headset that wakes you up after you finish your REM. Actually, I found it out of the window one night. And it got me interested in sleep and generally in brain activity and this stuff. And as a student, I start working at the Israeli Institute of Technology at the beginning as a subject, as a test subject, and later on doing some project in a evoked potentials lab. Basically, it's an lab that uses EEG for testing your reactions to some triggers. And while I was working there at the beginning as a subject, so it's not like today's nice headset they had to put on my head with all my hair. A lot of electrodes, a lot of wires. It took about an hour and was very cumbersome. And then when you wanted to have to take a step, you had to go with all this bundle of wires outside. So it was something that I learned a lot of. And it was like early 2000, like 2003. And the guys that were working on this BCI, brain-computer interface, very simple one, trying to control a screen, moving a cursor on a screen using EEG signals. So it wasn't working very well, but it was very connected to what was interesting to me. Because one of the things with lucid dreaming is that you need to write your dreams exactly when you wake up. And when you're doing that, and when I was living with my girlfriend, so you don't want to really turn on the light or record yourself, because I would wake her up, and I had this like fantasy if I could have a device that I would use to record my thoughts directly. And this was somehow connected to it. So I thought maybe it is possible.
So you started out with ERPs in a lab doing EEG. You didn't have Neuralink yet, so it wasn't working very well.
Yes, and
and you wanted to auto-write your dreams. But then somehow this led to the Mudra, which is, unfortunately, right now we have so many ideas of what we can do in neuroscience, but so many of them are not practical with our today's technology.
So, when I was learning about BCIs, it was really impractical, and it's either you have to do a surgery or you have to put a very cumbersome headset. And like 10 years later, I was an engineer working for Intel, and my friend started working with a Fitbit. Then there was the Kickstarter of Pebble, the first ever smartwatch. And there were rumors about Apple going to build a smartwatch. So things started to connect, like the dots started getting connected. And I was reading this book, Sapiens, by Yuval Noah Harari. And one of the things that he said there was really interesting in this and relevant, and that people disabled people today are using technologies to become competitive to regular person. But one day these technologies will give them edge over the regular person, and then people will start using disabled technologies, assistive technologies.
Yeah, like Nolan Arbaugh with the Neuralink said that he can actually move the cursor before he even thinks about it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's going to be the level of superhuman abilities.
Exactly. So it was certain to me that one day everyone will have it. But today it's impossible because it's either socially unacceptable and, well, it's not practical. And the wearables seem to be exactly what can close this gap, because you won't have like the full dream, but you will be able to understand and to have some of these superpowers today. So that's when we started. I built the first sensor. Lior, my co-founder, did the algorithms, and we joined Asher, and we founded the company.
Amazing. And we can see a little bit of the device here. We both have our Mudras on, but it's hard to see the sensors because they're actually against our skin. You know, if you look at this screen, can you tell us a little bit about what these sensors are and what signals they're picking up and how that's translated into interacting with a graphical user interface?
Okay. So as we said earlier, when I intend to move my fingers, my brain sends commands over my nervous system. So these commands innervate my muscles, and basically we pick up these tiny signals. But usually electromyography devices are sitting on the belly of the muscle, where you have a lot of signals, a lot of activity. But this is not a location that is socially acceptable, because people don't wear stuff here on the forearm.
Yeah.
They wear it on the wrist. So there is this method of surface nerve conductance test, where you inject signals from one point of the limb and measure like the quality or health of your nerves. So that's how we termed our technology, because we are close to the ulnar, median, and radial nerves in the wrist. And
that's electroneurography as opposed to electromyography, right?
Well, I think these are terms that are more commercial terms. In the end, it is electromyography, but on different locations and different voltage ranges, because it is a noisier and
right. So it's like, are you picking up the signal from the muscles or the signal from the nerves?
So in the end, okay.
I imagine at a certain point it doesn't even matter, because you're using the machine learning to differentiate between whatever is going on underneath the sensors anyways, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And in the end, it's the same motor unit potentials that you want to read.
Gotcha. Well, it's really exciting technology. I'd love to jump into a demo, but first I'd like to ask you, because I think that in the mainstream, people have been tracking this other company called Control Labs that Facebook bought a couple of years ago, and it sounds similar. Do you know like who Control Labs is or how that relates to what you guys are doing?
Well, actually in, I think 2014, there was another company called Talmic Labs. They had the Mayo armband. That was the first electromyography device for everyone. They somehow disappeared, and then Control Labs bought the patents, and they did their own work as well. And then they were bought by then Facebook.
And the reason why I bring it up is that big tech is looking at this too. I mean, this is technology that's being looked at very seriously. You were just in Seattle for augmented reality, extended reality conference. Big tech is looking at this as sort of the next interface for being able to interact with computers. So this is extremely relevant, and which is why I was really excited when I saw this technology and started being able to work with you and your company, because things are happening, and they're happening quickly in this space. So would you mind showing us? I know you have a demo on your laptop here for the Mudra. I'd love to see more.
Okay, so what you currently see is like an animation of the nerve innervation, and what you can see now is actually my signals that the Mudra picks up. There are 3 sensors, so you see 3 colors, and each finger that I will move will have a different setup of signals working together. Sometimes you can even differentiate them by eyes. So, but what's nice about it, now I'm moving my fingers, I intend to move, but if you, for example, will move my fingers, or I will do it with my other hand, nothing will happen because I didn't intend the movement.
And that's just a different signal.
It's not mechanical. That's the thing that it's not a mechanical movement. It's the intention.
So if you move your finger, the actual movement of your bones won't set it off. It has to be nerve conduction that actually is set up, picked up by the sensors.
Exactly.
Why is that important to differentiate between the two?
Okay. So the thing is that I want to detect your intention. I don't really care about the movement itself. I want to be able to detect your intention even without moving. Someday in the future, I would like to be able to detect even single motor units firing. It's something that we work on, but it's not something that you can currently use because it's very, very personal. Everyone is different. And when you do that, you will be able you have so many motor units in the hand. So each of them is activating different muscle fibers. So if you could willingly control each of them separately, you could have a lot of new functionality. For example, the other day I thought, what if I could, the mouse itself has I think 5 parameters that you have to control, like the where the tongue is, the height of the tongue, and what's the shape of the mouse. So if I could teach myself to do the same, to control the same functionalities with some of my motor units, I could, for example, speak from my hand, or if you want to control a robotic arm, or another. So it's not about the movement; it's about the intention.
Similar to what Nolan Arbau has talked about with the Neuralink brain implant, he just intends to move the cursor and it already moves. And I think that and I don't mean to steal your thunder, but what you and I and the team have talked about before on our calls is that you actually don't even need to move your finger. You can intend to move your finger and just have these little micro movements, these little micro nerve conductions that happen underneath the sensors, and be able to control the cursor that way.
Mm-hmm.
I think you actually might even have a demo of that today.
Yeah, I have a demo of that.
All right. I totally stole your thunder, but.
So, no, it's okay. So, in this view, you can see that I can apply some pressure between my fingers, small or higher or stronger, and I can really control the gradation of the pressure. And this can be really handy in augmented reality and other interactions when you really want to know how much pressure you apply, for example, for some unreal object, some imaginary object.
Like if you're squeezing something, you needed to apply certain pressure to not have it slip out of your hand or something like that.
Exactly. And later on we can go into it, but because I know the amount of force you apply, I can infer out of it the weight of stuff that you hold. So if I'm holding an object, I can really detect how much it weighs.
Oh, wow. That my brain just fired in multiple different directions about what to do with that. Okay.
Okay. So now we can start what we call air touch. Air touch is the ability to use the Mudra as an air mouse. So actually it's okay. So now let's go through just some simple demos. So here I have Morty and I can just pinch him and move around. And when I'm twisting like that, that's specifically for Apple, I can go to this multi-screen view. And here, for example, it's just mimicking by movement. I can play this cello.
It's so fun.
Yes.
It's fun watching you too, because I tried this at home and I quickly realized that it's actually a specific skill set. Like I wasn't very good at it. I was missing things, and I had to redo it. And just watching your state of flow there and how seamlessly you're able to do that. I'm just appreciative of your skill set here and actually using it.
Yeah, actually, well, one of the funny things at the convention, guys that are from other companies that I won't say the name, that are used to use such technologies were really easily controlled it. So another thing that we can do, and that's again specifically for Mac, if I'll move my hand like that, now I can just scroll my screen up and down just by dragging. So this is specific functionality for the Mac environment, for the Apple environment. I think these are nice demos that we usually show in conventions.
Yeah.
But what I would like to show you now is what we call a neural play. Anyway, you said about the skill set.
Yeah.
So one of the things, maybe we can, with this specific game that it took me a while to here it's not the regular signals that we are using here. Here I'm trying like mathematically to find the linear factorization of the signal to like signals that are orthogonal. And then in order to control this specific signal, I had to, whenever I was whenever I was too immersed in the game and started to be nervous, I couldn't control it anymore.
Oh,
properly.
Because maybe your fight or flight was messing up the micro signals.
Exactly. And so it really, in the beginning, it was like meditating to get to a relaxed point.
Oh, wow.
Where I'm being able to control the signals, relax.
So we'll talk about that in a little bit, because there are some meditation aspects to this. And it's just amazing that your sympathetic versus parasympathetic nervous system will actually affect peripheral nerves, right?
Mm-hmm.
How nervous you are actually will affect these micro signatures in your arm, which has applicability to meditation, which there's some things there to explore as well. But we want to make sure to show this micro movement
so are we
tutorial.
set?
So we're set. Go ahead and show us some micro movements.
So here we see the Temple Run game.
And so are you imagining moving a specific finger, or?
Actually, yes, I'm thinking of the movement, but I'm trying to do it as small as possible because I really want it to be a micro movement. So
what movement are you
visualizing? You can see the blue bar. It's connected to trying to move my thumb.
Okay.
And
so thumb is jump. What are the
thumb
other
is
movements?
jump, and pinky is this
Turn?
No, turn is the ring finger,
What does pinky do?
and pinky will slide like
Oh.
that.
Well, I'm going to be better at Halo here pretty soon than all the rest of the people that I've been competing with online because they have to use that clunky Xbox controller, and I'm just going to be thinking about moving my thumb. My character's going to fly right at him.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things too that people are just going to have to experience, because seeing it is one thing, but actually, seeing those bars jump up and down with the intended movement, I'm sure is kind of eye-opening.
Yeah, it's for me. When I try to build this specific, well, the game itself is a web game, is like an online game, and I'm just the bars themselves. They connect to the Mac. The band is connected to the Mac as an HID device, like a keyboard and a mouse, and that's why you can connect it to any device that is connectable by Bluetooth. Now each bar is sending a key, so down key, left key, right key, and when I was building that, I was telling you that the game itself is very immersive, and you start to feel like to be anxious during it. And when I do, especially now that it's like a special scenario and I'm a bit far from the screen, so you don't control the bars as well as you would, and I need to relax myself. It's really it's a kind of meditation, because for me, one of the goals of meditation is to be able to act in the real world in stressing environment, but with a cool head.
Yes, there's a biofeedback element to it.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought of it that way, that there was this game that you're controlling, but the actual control itself, it's almost like if you had an Xbox controller, but the Xbox controller was responding to how nervous you were, which there's no two-way at this point of anything that exists like that yet.
That's true.
But as we integrate these wearable sensors into gameplay, that's what's going to happen. The game's actually going to be responding to how cool of a head that you have in the moment.
And I think that's now people are playing for the fun, but I think that this can be really helpful in if you could play out stressing scenarios that are stressing for you, and you could get this feedback. But that's actually more of our future, one of our future applications.
Yeah, and we've talked about a little bit of that there's meditation aspects to this, and I know you guys are working on the app, probably not ready quite ready to show it yet, but could you describe a little bit about what that experience might look like?
So we are not specifically, this app is dealing with focusing on your breathing. So it is well known that when you are focused on your breathing, you go to the parasympathetic mode of your nervous system, and it helps relaxing. But one of the things that happen when you meditate is, especially if you are new to it, is that you either fall asleep or you start thinking about all the email that you didn't send and the other thing that you didn't do. And it could be very beneficial if you knew that you're not meditating anymore. Because usually, like, if you're in this meditation retreat, someone will go with the gong and remind you every few minutes to go back and focus on the breathing or whatever you are focusing on. So here what we are trying to do is measure how focused you are on the breathing. And once you are not synchronized with the breathing, to give you a haptic feedback or any other feedback that will bring you back to the meditation. And we can also show you how you advanced, like how many percentage of your practice you were really focused.
Yeah, and I think that ultimately ties the whole discussion back to what you mentioned earlier, which is it's sort of the holy grail right now to be able to measure those types of things from the wrist.
Mhm.
Because those EEG setups that you talked about before that cover your whole head, or even the newer ones like the Muse headband that you wrap around your head, those are just not that socially acceptable yet. I don't really want to sit in a coffee shop with the Muse headband, for example, but having something more seamless, something that's a little bit more or less noticeable, I think would be much more likely to go mainstream because people wouldn't feel odd wearing it.
Mhm.
The other thing that I wanted to ask you about was the name Mudra itself, right? It connects back to some sort of hand configurations for meditation, right?
Yeah, so mudra is gesture in Hindi or in Sanskrit, and people that practice yoga or meditation are connecting it to this fingers pressed against each other, which is said to change or to channel your energy in different modes while meditating, and it seems adequate as a name for our product.
I love it. I love it. And just to close things up, where's Mudra headed for the next 2 to 5 years? What's your roadmap look like?
So on the hardware point of view, currently we just announced the Mudra Link, which is this device, the Mudra Band, is for Apple Watch. So the Mudra Link is meant to open up to other platforms like Android and Windows, and it works just out of the box. You press the button, look for it on the Bluetooth, and it works like a mouse. You don't need an app for that. So that's the first immediate goal. Then we are one of the previous generation of microcontrollers, of wearable microcontrollers, was not strong enough to run neural networks. So, and the new generation can do that without compromising battery life. So we are now working on the overall hardware.
Would an individual have their own individual neural network training on their movements, or how is that going to work?
So from the software point of view, it might be so, but it probably will be so because you will need your configured neural network. But to even be able to do that, currently on the Mudra, previously on the Mudra Band, we used to send all the raw data to the phone and run the algorithms on the phone. Then we found simpler algorithms that we can run on the band itself. But to run a full neural net on the band requires the new generation microcontrollers. So we are now working on this new architecture. And then on the longer run, one of the pain points of this device and such devices is that the electrodes touch your hand and leave signs sometimes and makes you sweat. So it can be much, much more convenient if they were soft electrodes.
Mm-hmm.
And that this is something for the longer term that we work on the hardware side. And on the application side, so until now we were mostly focused on control. And so so we talked about controlling the Mac environment, the Apple environment, Android, neural control. But there's the other side of monitoring, and we also discussed meditation, which is monitoring, detection of weight, measurement of weight. So monitoring can give you benefit along the day. So you will have other gains from wearing this device all day long.
Another
future.
holy grail, yeah, just data collection all day.
Yeah.
And it's so exciting to hear that it's only going to get better as we've got these new machine learning capabilities right there on the device to be able to basically design your own AI just sitting there right on your wrist. Well, I'm really excited. And people can actually purchase this right now off of Amazon, right? If they want to start playing around with it.
So you can purchase it at Amazon and you can purchase it at our website.
Probably better just to go to your website and purchase it, right?
Yes, on mudraband.com.
Mudraband.com.
And you will see the Mudra Band for Apple Watch and the Mudra Link, which is currently pre-ordered.
And how can people reach out to Mudra or yourself if they want to get involved?
So they can connect, just press the contact us in the website.
Well, thanks for showing us this technology. I'm really excited for it, and it was a really great discussion, Guy.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
Appreciate it.